Hello and welcome to Findlay Designs. If you follow my channel, you know that a lot of these videos are my experiments with resin, and this one is no exception. What I was trying to do was paint on a semi-cured resin, then pour another layer of resin over the top. The reason being that I didn't want to sand the top in between layers, so I wanted to do the pour while it was still curing, and it was almost very nearly a big mistake, and I'll explain more as the video goes in. So to start off with, I painted the board black, and then I used a very dark blue glitter for the base, and then poured a silver glitter in the resin to show the highlights on the bottom. Here, this was a bit of an attempt to make it look a little bit like the Northern Lights, so I had some turquoise and some purple lines coming from the top and the bottom. And as always, I'm using a heat gun to zap the bubbles. Now, I often get asked, can I use a hairdryer instead? Now you can, but what would happen if you used your hairdryer? You would actually start blowing the resin around a little bit too much, and you wouldn't have the same control as you would with a heat gun, so that's why I use a heat gun. You can also use a blowtorch, but I have a tendency, if I try to use a blowtorch, of holding it in the place too long and end up burning the resins. That's why I don't use a blowtorch, but other people do with great success, so you can use one of them also. So here I've waited a couple of hours before painting the trees in. I should have actually left it a little bit longer. I thought it was cured enough, so it was no longer sticky to the touch when I touched it with my fingers, and so I thought it would be a good time to paint the trees. Now, just painting the trees in this manner is actually okay. It's when I come to do the moon that I have a few issues. So, like I say, the reason why I wanted to do this while it was semi-cured, if I'd left it to cure overnight before painting it, I would have had to sand it first, then paint it, and then pour the resin over the top so that the resin would have something to bind to. So, by doing it this way, I was trying to eliminate one of the processes. Now that would have been fine, only now when I come to do the moon, I've painted a little bit of white on the back of a plate and then just placed it on top of the resin, but it actually stuck to the resin because it wasn't cured quite enough. So as you can see, that the resin is a little bit lumpy in that area. So here I was painting the white on, but then I decided that it was just a bit too much, so using a little bit of mineral turpentine, I actually started taking the majority of it off, still leaving the shape of the moon so that I had the round shape, and then going back with a smaller brush, I started painting in the moon. Now, as I'm planning to put another layer of resin over the top of this painting, I'm not worrying too much about the fact that the moon area is quite lumpy at the moment. If anything, it adds a little bit of detail to that area. So now I'm just adding a little bit of cloud around the outside of the moon and just giving it a bit of a haze around the outside. So I'm just painting a little bit of white acrylic paint again over the resin, and then using a baby wipe with a little bit of mineral turpentine in, I will rub some of that off so that it's not such a solid colour, so it just looks a little bit more wispy. So I'm just making it look a little bit more wispy around the moon. And same with the clouds, I'm painting on very lightly some white and again using the baby wipe I'm just taking some of that off. And I'm also putting in a little bit of dark cloud in there also, just to give it a little bit more interest and definition in the background. And again, using the same technique, just using the baby wipe to remove that. And now finally I'm putting the layer of clear resin on this, and then that will be left to cure overnight. So this piece was almost an epic fail, but I was able to salvage something from it in the end. Next time when I come to do a painting, I will wait for it to cure a little bit further, but I still will not allow it to cure fully, just because I didn't want to do the sanding in between, as I said earlier. So if you like this video and would like to see more resin ideas, then please subscribe to my channel, or better still, go and browse my other videos. I have plenty of videos to keep you inspired. So until next time, bye for now.